Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. Government seeks to put electricity in every home. The Borough of Arima celebrates 125 years. And the Prime Minister calls on citizens to recognize the beauty of Trinidad and Tobago's cultural diversity. Thank you for joining us to our top story. Prime Minister the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar is calling on citizens to recognize the beauty of Trinidad and Tobago's cultural diversity on the occasion of Emancipation Day 2013. In her Emancipation Day message, the Honorable Prime Minister explained the relevance of emancipation to today's society.
Emancipation Day 2013 is a real opportunity for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to emancipate themselves from mental slavery and to design for themselves a new paradigm, new standards, and a visionary future of prosperity and goodwill for all our peoples. This, according to Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissessar in her Emancipation Day message. The Honourable Prime Minister challenged those who may argue that emancipation holds no meaning for them to look with new eyes at Emancipation Day. She noted that the commemoration of emancipation is a celebration of struggle and triumph over oppression and an opportunity to delve deeper into history. Adding that it is a reaffirmation of identity, Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar said it is the awakening of consciousness and the courage to look into the past without fear and trepidation, and presents a mechanism for the release from pain and a return to wholeness. This year, citizens proudly celebrate the 175th anniversary of emancipation in Trinidad and Tobago. That historic act on August 1st, 1838, destroyed the moral, legal, and institutional basis of a system which allowed human beings to be classified as chattel and to be denied their most basic human rights. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar said almost 2 centuries ago, we rose to the heights of our humanity, declaring that no longer would human beings be defined as property, as emancipation bore witness to the triumph of the human spirit and the determination to purge from our society the negative legacy of oppression, domination, and racism. She recognized Tuse, Nani, Busa, Garvey, Rienzi, Cipriani, Butler, Kwame Ture, and Makandal Daga, men and women who fought not for themselves, but to advance the rights and promote the achievements of all peoples of African descent in the region. She said, today in Trinidad and Tobago, we can take pride in our multicultural society, where each group may experience and share each other's diverse cultural traditions. The Honourable Prime Minister believes there is no reason to create artificial borders around the celebration of our diverse cultural heritage, as our diversity must remain our strength, a special modern gift. She said there are not many countries in today's turbulent world which can boast of this level of cultural tolerance and acceptance, and to our credit, we have created in Trinidad and Tobago an enviable model of cultural and religious harmony, a modern hybrid of futuristic prosperity. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
In other news, the Ministry of Public Utilities has taken several steps toward ensuring that citizens across Trinidad and Tobago have ease of access to a number of basic utilities. At the weekly post-cabinet news briefing, the Honourable Minister of Public Utilities announced the decision to provide families in rural communities with a reliable electricity supply in a way that has never been explored.
We have a number of very rural communities where people are unable to have electricity supply. And when we look at the cost of supplying electricity to these group of families in those very rural communities, it's very expensive to take the service there. So as an alternative, we have come up with a program there where we could provide solar panels for those families, and to a maximum of $25,000. And we think this will go a long way in making sure that people have electricity in every home.
The Honourable Minister also revealed some other cabinet decisions that will redound to the benefit of low-income families. He said under his ministry there exist 2 programs that subsidize the electricity and water bills of persons who receive grants from the states.
Previously, the program only catered for those beneficiaries from the Ministry of the People and Social Development, those who received public assistance, those who were beneficiaries of the disability grant and beneficiaries of the old age assistance grants. And we decided that a number of people have been coming to us who are beneficiaries of other insurance private sector, but their income is very low, and they have been making requests for this assistance as well. And this is why Cabinet has agreed that we are now going to cater for those persons outside of the beneficiaries of the Ministry of the People and Social Development. So anybody, any family having an income of under $3,500 can benefit now from those programs under the Ministry of Public Utilities.
The minister said Cabinet has decided to review and increase the subsidy that is afforded to these citizens on their utility bills, and soon persons will be able to apply for the increase in assistance. He also revealed that families will also be able to apply for a grant that will see them receiving funding from his ministry for a water tank up to the value of $1,500.
Any community organizations, whether they be faith-based organization, community-based organizations, or non-governmental organizations, if they have facilities and they need to put in a water tank as well to cater for the public and members of their organizations as well, we could provide this up to a maximum of $2,000.
Minister Bash reaffirmed the government's people-centered focus and assured that the latest developments at his ministry will go a long way in addressing the needs of many citizens. When we come back, travel professionals of color. Stay with us. Our special report, we continue to bring you significant highlights from an address delivered by Finance Minister, Senator the Honorable Larry Hawai, as he looks at issues and challenges for the Trinidad and Tobago economy and how government is moving to tackle them. In this excerpt, Minister Hawai speaks to the reforms planned to address long-term growth and development.
The long-term growth prospects for Trinidad and Tobago economy remains grounded in the aggressive pursuit of a portfolio of structural reforms that preserve fiscal sustainability, promote business competitiveness, and most importantly, promote the public and private investment flows to support economic diversification. In this context, government's structural reform agenda revolves around pension reform, doing business reform, public debt and cash management, investment promotion and special economic zones, institutionalizing public-private partnerships, and a national broadband strategy. The Ministry of Trade has already introduced measures to facilitate the ease of doing business. They have reduced the time taken to start a business from 43 days to 3 days. Amendments have been made to Section 25 of the Value-Added Tax Act to effect registration for VAT within 1 working day from 30 days. And Section 30 of the NIB Act makes it mandatory for the National Insurance Board to effect registration for NIS within 1 working day. Name reservation, business registration, and company incorporation are now available online through the single electronic window under the Ministry of Trade's company registration module. Internally, reforms to the system of public financial management will also bring greater efficiency and transparency to government's fiscal operations. These include the strengthening of the budgeting process, treasury management, and the creation of an integrated financial management information system with an aim towards the introduction of performance-based budgeting. Overall, these reforms are expected to improve efficiency and provide for greater accountability of public expenditure, improve the alignment between resource allocation and the government's growth objectives, and ultimately improve the quality of service delivery to the population.
More from Minister Hawai in our special report on Friday. In other news, the tourism development company is seeking to create a targeted approach towards marketing tourism with focus on heritage sites and culture. The ministry is hosting the 11th Annual Travel Professionals of Color TPOC Conference and Trade. The aim is to attract persons of minority groups to heritage sites and highlight cultural diversity.
The atmosphere have vibes, and nothing can break it up.
Expanding and broadening this country's tourism base to include heritage aspects that would attract visitors and indigenous people from around the world to Trinidad and Tobago is a new direction the Tourism Ministry is spearheading. This as Trinidad and Tobago plays host to the 11th Annual Travel Professionals of Color TPOC Conference and Trade Show this year. The TPOC, founded by Charlotte Hamo and Betty Jones, is based on reaching the minority travel sector while bringing together travel executives of the world. Over the years, the company has developed a heritage tourism specialist certification program, and it is anticipated that locals pushing heritage tourism in Trinidad and Tobago will benefit from networking at the event while marketing its niche products to the world. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Juliana Budram, says moves are being taken to brand TNT as an ideal location for highlighting rich culture.
Trinidad and Tobago, we are in the midst of coming up with and having a brand Trinidad and Tobago. And as you come here and as you promote us as a destination, we feel that this brand Trinidad and Tobago is one of the things that will help you in promoting us. Many of the speakers before me spoke about the niche that we call heritage travel. And you would know in that heritage travel market that Trinidad and Tobago really stands out. And this is because of our history.
The conference this year coincides with the 175th anniversary of Trinidad and Tobago's emancipation from slavery, where it is hoped that by highlighting this commemoration of ancestral roots would draw visitors from this segment of the tourist market. Statistics show that a large percent of the Latin American diaspora and of African descent living in North America account for $82 billion in tourism revenue in the world, who are looking for destinations celebrating their ancestry. It's for this reason the ministry is pushing niche tourism through heritage sites across TNT. Acting CEO at the TDC, Yolande Salmon, notes a rich cultural diversity makes Trinidad and Tobago the ideal destination.
A feature of this year's event is the unveiling of Trinidad and Tobago's African heritage sites, an authoritative guide which provides historically accurate and factual reference material for the formulation of heritage tour packages. Of course, a first for Trinidad and Tobago's tourism industry. The contributions of the different ethnic groups that have settled in these islands have combined to create a rich inheritance of dance, music, art, cuisine, and festivals, all of which stand as testimony to our cultural diversity, which is unparalleled in this hemisphere and pervades every facet of our national life. Within this context, the Ministry of Tourism and the Tourism Development Company are committed to investing in our heritage product to ensure that our destination is dynamic and attractive to a variety of travelers, including the billion-dollar multicultural travel market.
In welcoming TPOC members to the conference, even with emancipation in the air, Chairman of the Emancipation Support Committee, Kafra Kambon, says returning to one's roots is always a positive in learning who we are as a people.
Our past is something to be ashamed of. But despite all the tampering with our collective memory as Africans, as the heritage tourism tours or the attachment it shows, we are driven consciously or unconsciously to return to roots, to recharge our sense of who we are.
The 2013 Travel Professionals of Color TPOC Conference and Trade Show runs from July 28th to August 4th. It's the first time the conference is being hosted in the Southern Caribbean, with over 200 persons expected to participate. Kimberam Calawan, News 4.
This year, the Borough of Arima celebrates 125 years of borough status. Celebrations are planned for the borough to mark the occasion. Arimians will awake on August 1st to the sound of a cannon blast. Now, this is just one of the planned celebrations for the oldest borough in Trinidad and Tobago. 3 months of activities are actually planned in celebration of Arima's status as a borough, having been proclaimed 125 years ago. Arima Fest 2013 celebrations began in June with an almost month-long art exhibition titled A Collector's Dream at the borough's Town Hall. This was followed by the Miss Arima Pageant Royale show in July, at which 19-year-old Alicia Perez was crowned Queen of Arima. The teenager will now reign over the festival till its end in September. Before the celebration ends, a Thanksgiving service will also be held on August 4th at the Santa Rosa RC Church, followed by a military parade through the streets of the borough. The highlight of the celebrations, however, will be the Carib Santa Rosa Carib Festival on August 25th, led by the Carib Queen, Jennifer Cassar. When we come back, the Caribbean Premier League debuts. Stay with us. The inaugural Limacol Caribbean Premier League 2020 cricket tournament got started on Tuesday night with an opening ceremony at the Kensington Oval in Barbados. Following this, the Barbados Tridents faced off against the St. Lucia Zouks for the first game of the 2013 tournament.
Kyron Pollard led by example to silence his critics who insist a Trinbagonian shouldn't lead out a Barbados-based team in the Caribbean T20 cricket tournament. Pollard hit an unbeaten 61 of 46 balls and took 3 wickets for just 15 runs as the captain led his team to a 17-1 victory over the St. Lucia Zouks in the first game of the tournament. Barbados got off to a rocky start after deciding to bat first, losing Dwayne Smith caught out for duck on the first ball of the tournament, a record he will never live down. Barbados struggled to recover, losing 3 more wickets in 13 balls to find themselves on a shaky 48 for 4. But a 5th wicket partnership between Shoaib Malik and Pollard saw the Tridents add 88 runs off 10 overs before Malik lost his cool. The Pakistani, who was named player of the match, was caught out on 78 of 51 balls in the 18th over while going for a slug of Tino Best. Pollard did the job of captain and steered his team to a reasonable total, hitting 28 runs of the last 2 overs to take Barbados to 169 for 5 in their 20 overs. St. Lucia in reply got off to a good start and found themselves in a commanding position of 77 for 1 off 7 overs. However, the wicket of Andre Fletcher in the 12th seemed to command the Zouks to lose the game, which they had a firm grasp on. The Zouks went on to lose their remaining 8 wickets for 57 runs, 35 of which were contributed in just 16 balls by Darren Sammy. Pollard took 2 wickets in the 18th and the final Zouks wicket in the final over to leave the Zouks all out for 152, 18 runs short of their target. Action continues today as Trinidad and Tobago Red Steel take on Guyana Amazon Warriors in Providence Stadium, Guyana. Gregory McBurney, News 4 Sports.
News 4 continues after the break. The Direct Impact program has once again touched the lives of citizens as it moved into the Chaguanas West constituency, bringing with it a number of government agencies and social programs.
The Martin Recreation Ground in Charleville was a hub for surrounding residents to access government social services as the Ministry of the People and Social Development brought its Direct Impact initiative into the area. On Friday, persons came out in their numbers to benefit from information and solutions to issues which they had been facing for some time. Minister of the People and Social Development, Dr. the Honorable Glenn Ramadar Singh, said while touring the constituency of Chaguanas West recently, constituents requested the Direct Impact Caravan. As such, the Honorable Minister responded almost immediately and said that the residents expressed their deepest appreciation for the ease of access to services.
Some people are asking about getting jobs. Some people are asking about how do they re-educate themselves. There's some career guidance officers, some social workers. We have the Press On initiative, which is poverty reduction through empowerment social strategies. We are giving away seedling plants so people can start their backyard garden and so get more healthy food. We have URP Social, where we have all the projects such as the Cerebral Palsy Mothers project, where mothers who take care of the child 24/7 can get $84.50. They can also be caregivers for the elderly, the sick, the weak, the differently abled, and get a stipend where they had nothing before. We have the interagency unit, where we will be moving to Chaguanas to deal with street dwellers and those who are socially displaced. We have the URP Social Housing Unit to build over homes for those whose rooms are crumbling apart. The NSDP for electricity, for water, for house repair, roof repair. They are all here to help the people of Chaguanas West.
Minister Ramadar Singh made some special presentations at the event. These included a wheelchair to a resident of the area, as well as school supplies to a number of students. The Direct Impact Initiative continues to be one of the most successful outreach programs under the Ministry of the People and Social Development as it goes into communities and brings the services of government agencies closer to those in need. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us.